Welcome back everybody. Today we're gonna play Astra on Haven. Today is day 173 of playing every agent on every map. By the way, I'm sorry for the long break. I've been pretty busy in the last couple of days. I've been working a lot. I've also got my application for the university, so I didn't have that much time to record. But now I'm back. I'm trying to keep up my schedule as much as I can. Sometimes I will fail, sometimes I will have enough time, but right now I will continue with Astra on Haven. In my opinion, Astra is a pretty underrated agent. Most people think, yeah, Astra is really complicated, which is just not the case. You're just placing stars and then you're using those stars a little bit later. You have a lot of outplay potential with an Astra, and if you master an Astra, you're probably have mastered one of the best smokes agents in the game that you can use on almost any map, especially on a map like Haven. The bigger the map, the better the Astra usually, and also on maps where lurking is a pretty common thing. You can use a Astra pretty well. Haven, that is the case because you have 3 sites and you only have 5 enemies, so at least one site is only going to be 1 enemy, and that can be pretty useful on an Astra. You can send your team towards A, you can even fake pretty well with an Astra if you play it right, and in general I think Astra is a pretty good pick on almost any map. Starting off with A-side defense. A-side defense is pretty simple on an Astra. Most of the times you're not going to do really much. You only need like 1 or maybe 2 smokes to kind of stop the enemies from coming in. One smoke that I recommend on every smokes agent is one right here. This smoke right here can be used pretty well by your teammates that are playing on site. They can play inside of the smoke, they can play behind here, just waiting for the people to come out of backside or come out of the smoke here. They can even play front side, hold the people that are coming out there. And in general, this smokes makes it pretty easy for your team to defend. What you can also do is to play here on the short area, and with a smoke like this you're kind of protected from the people that are coming from the long area right here and taking the backside space as well, and you can just focus fully on holding people from short. This smoke is a pretty strong one, and it is one I recommend most of the times. For long, you can just use a smoke right here. This smoke right here will do you a pretty solid. You can wait right here in this close corner. You can wait on backside. You can even wait on top here for the enemies to come in. And in general, you have a lot of ways to play off of this smoke. What you can also do sometimes to play a little more aggressive is something like this. Either use this smoke yourself, but this will deny you information over people crossing over. But if you know they have already crossed over, you can use this smoke pretty often. Even go inside of the smoke, hold the people from coming in, and make it hard for them to take this space like this. Or you can even place a star in the same spot. If you have done this smoke before, you can place a star right here and kind of catch the enemies off guard by going around the corner, recalling, waiting for the enemies to walk in, and then getting a kill like that and getting out again. This can catch people off guard and can give you a easy time killing them. Other than that, what I see sometimes be done is a smoke right here. This smoke is okay, it is the best one. If the enemies have a flash agent or a recon agent, this smoke is pretty easy for them to go around, but it can still work out sometimes. In general, I just recommend use this smoke right here. It is just a better smoke. What you can also do, especially if the enemies have, for example, a killjoy ult, is to use a stun right here. As soon as the enemies are going for the killjoy ult, same thing also with the close area right here. Suck or stun, and then do a lot of damage on the people that are trying to go for the killjoy ult or just playing close here. This can be used pretty effectively as well, and especially good with some damaging util, maybe for example a raise nade or some Takeo mollies, or even a breach aftershock can be used pretty well like that. To stop the enemies from coming out long, you can place a smoke and then place a star behind it to use as a stun. For example, like that, the enemies are coming out, you stun, and then you get a free kill on the people that are coming out long because they're most likely going to be stunned. For the retake, I recommend that you're placing a smoke either right here, stop the enemies from short from peeking you, or just place one right where the enemies are usually coming out of, or like on top of the spike, to stop the enemies from peeking you from the common angles. One thing that you can also do on an Astra that is pretty effective is a star like this. Use it as a recall and clear out the people that are playing close. Or even a star like this to kind of isolate angles. Go back, hold the people from close here, and clear out a lot of the space like this as well. If you have an Astra ult, the ult I recommend you use most of the times is one like this, where you cut off the short area and you cut off the long area so that there's no space on short or long where they can hear you go for a diffuse, and then you use a star on top of the spike and go for a diffuse like this. This can be used pretty effectively as long as you have somebody inside of the smoke protecting you. You are most likely gonna get the easy diffuse, and you can also have teammates holding this area, teammates holding the long area and waiting for people to push out. This can be used pretty good to get a free diffuse. Now already switching over towards B, and on B, to defend B itself, it isn't quite that easy. You can use one smoke right here, that will kind of work, but it is pretty hard for you to use your stun and your suck in a good way. You can use them like this. The enemies are coming in, you can stun, suck. It works pretty well, but it's kind of util heavy, and most of the times the enemies are already gonna be through, and you have to have really good timing to use that setup. Other than that, what you can also do is to kind of take the mid space with a smoke right here, or even a recall smoke, going out, getting a free kill on the people that are trying to come out window, and get a free kill like that. What you can also do if you're going mid is to do the same thing with a mid push, using a star right there, pushing out of the double doors area right here, maybe even shooting inside of the smoke and trying to get a kill like that. In general, what you can also do on retakes is, or just even if the enemies are going for a plant, is to use a suck on the top of the spike and then just spam where they would be at, or like trying to go, and get a kill like that on the person that is going for a plant. That is something you can do pretty effectively on an Astra, is to clear out corners. If you, for example, know somebody's in this corner, you can use a stun or a suck. Same thing also with this cubby, short, here, even graffiti, under. Just in general, in most of the spots where an enemy can play at, you can use an Astra suck or an Astra stun to kind of clear that area out. Even if an enemy has taken the backside area, you can easily just use a stun everyone that is on backside, and get a free kill on them. Now switching over towards garage, and on garage there's one smoke you can use. It is one like this, just kind of stop the enemies from coming in, and you can even hide in this closed cubby right here, waiting for the enemies to come in and then peeking out behind them, making it pretty hard for them to kind of guess where you are at and get a pretty good spot. Other than that, what I recommend that you do on garage is to just even let the enemies go through. If you have a trip, you can also use a star right here and then use a stun and peek out. But in general, playing garage on an Astra is not the greatest idea. Just using the smoke right here to stop the enemies from coming in is most of the times the only thing that you're going to do. And now switching over towards C. And on C, it is pretty simple. You use a smoke right here on long, stop the enemies from coming in, and then you can place a stun or a suck right here to stun the enemies that are trying to come in. What you can also do is to place a star here on backside, making it possible for your teammates to play on the backside area, hide here, maybe even jump up, hide inside of the smoke, stop the enemies from coming in like this, and in general do a lot of damage on the enemies that are coming in. This smoke is really good if you have, for example, a Cypher with his Cypher trips, for example here, and one more here, to just hold from the backside area, making it a pretty safe hold for your team, and making it pretty hard for the enemies to take this space. What you can also do is to use a suck on the enemies that are trying to go for a plant. If you're going for a retake, I recommend that you're using a star on long to take a space right here, maybe even use a suck on the backside or a stun, stop enemies from playing in this area, and then placing a star on top of the spike, going for the defuse. This can be pretty good, especially the smoke on long if you take the space, and then if you have the space already on all of the sides, you can go for a defuse on the side and get a free round win. And now switching over towards attack, and on attack it is pretty simple. On an Astra, you can use a star right here on long in the beginning of the round to kind of cross over. This star is similar to, for example, a Cypher Cage or some other util that you can use to kind of cross here over. You can also use a jet smoke for that, or just in general anything. You can place this star almost every beginning of the round to kind of fake some presence over towards A. You can even do it a little further behind, for example right there, cross over and kind of get the space like this, and make it pretty easy for your team to take A space, or just even fake taking A space. This is really good if you, for example, have a Yoru that you can send into lower by just sending the clone in, and maybe even the Yoru himself, and having a free pass over the long area right here, faking the A side pretty well. Then over to stuff that you can do also in the beginning of the round. It is a suck like this, stop the enemies from coming in. This suck right here is pretty good if you have enemies that play pretty aggressively on the short area trying to go for a peek on you, and it will make it pretty hard for them to even peek you, or if they have peeked you and then are going back, makes it pretty hard for them to get away. And if you have a Neon or a chat that can just dash on them, you can get a free kill. Now towards the A side smoking is pretty simple. You smoke once in Heaven and once in CT. In CT you have two options for a smoke. If you don't think anyone is in this area right here, you are using this smoke. If you think anyone could be in this area right here, you can use a smoke a little. If you think nobody is in this area, you're just using this smoke right here. Firstly the Heaven smoke, and then either this or this. And what you have to be kind of careful of, especially if you're playing an Astra and you're trying to re-smoke the Heaven area, if you have a teammate that is playing under, you're kind of one-waying him off, especially if he's holding like close here. So keep that in mind if you're playing an Astra. The Heaven smoke can be kind of bad for your teammate as well, but it can also be pretty good on a side take to stop the enemies from playing in the other area. For an ult, I recommend one like this that goes through Heaven and through CT. But then you will need to clear out the under area. You can clear out the under area pretty simple by just using a star right here, stunning, and then going in and getting a free kill on them. This ult is a pretty effective one. It will stop the enemies from peeking from heaven, it will stop the enemies from peeking from CT, and it will smoke you both areas with just one singular smoke, so it is pretty good if you don't have any smokes ready. For example, you faked a other side and then you're on the A side trying to go for a plant, you can use this wall pretty well. Other than that, what you can do on the A side is to clear out close corners, for example here, here, even under, or close here with stars, using a stun, a sock, clear out the close corners, making sure nobody is playing in these areas. This can be pretty effective, and it can give you a free time taking the site. Also pretty effective here on the back side, stop the enemies from playing in this area and giving you a free kill. Other than that, what you can also do if you know nobody is there, but you're afraid somebody might be in the smoke, you can also use a second star inside of a smoke and use that as a stun to stop the enemies from coming in. Now switching over towards the mid area, what you can also do on the mid area is to fake a smoke right here. Makes it able for you to cross over if you are afraid of the enemies holding you, for example an AWP in the mid space. This can be pretty effective and make it pretty hard for the enemies to take the space from you or just even hold you from coming in. If you're going B, there's two smokes you're gonna use, one like this and one like this. What you kind of have to be careful of if you're going for this smoke right here is to not place a smoke up here on top of these boxes. That happens to me a couple of times because it is still a spot where you can like smoke, and it will not quite smoke as good as it could be if you place it right here, and it is kind of a thing that happens sometimes in an Astra, so always be careful if you want to try to go for fast B smokes. Make sure to focus more on the smoke on the right side, so you have the right smoke, this one right here, to stop the enemies from coming in like that. The other side, it is pretty easy to just place a smoke. But on this side, that can happen sometimes, that you place a smoke on top of this barrel right here, and you don't have the greatest smoke for the link area. For util that you can use, I recommend a sock right here, and then a stun on the back side. This will generally give you most of the area right here on the B side, and make it pretty easy for you to go for a plant. For a ult, what you can use sometimes is kind of a combo ult that can be used for A as well. It is something like this, making sure you get the heaven area, and then you can kind of go in, clear out the close area right here, even go for a plant, and also have a wall that kind of works for A as well, so you can kind of fake A, fake B, or just in general fake stuff and get a easy plant off of the side like this, and then have a easy time playing post plant. Post plant is something Astra is pretty strong with. You can have a sock, you can have a stun, you can use both of them in pretty effective ways. For example, you have planted right here. You can use on the first tab, for example, stun, waiting for the enemies to, or like just peeking real quick to see if somebody is on, and then you can use a sock, making sure the enemies think, yeah, they're gonna tap, they think you're gonna use a sock first, and they get stunned, you can get a kill off of them, and then on the second time you can just suck them off, making sure nobody is trying to go for a plant or going for a defuse. For B or garage, what you can also use is a star right here to smoke the window area here in the garage area and get a free time going in here. Maybe even use a stun in the close corners if you think somebody is there, maybe even here. But I think in most of the times that is kind of a waste, because you can clear out these areas way simpler with, for example, Sova drone or a flash. And now switching over towards C, and on C you have two smokes that you're going to use almost every round unless you're going for a C split. If you're just going C from long, you're using these two smokes. This will do you a pretty solid and can get you all of the C space. If you're going for a C split, you need to have a smoke here in window and a smoke here in CT, and you will have all of the areas smoked off where your team is trying to go through. For stuns, I recommend one either backside or plateau, or right behind this area right here, or even right there. These are in general pretty good stuns and sucks that you can use to clear out people from the common areas. If you, for example, know somebody's playing in this close corner right here as well, or in the other close corner, you can also use stuns and sucks for these corners to clear them out. For your ult, you can use a ult pretty simple like this, kind of blocking off CT. With the ult like this, you have a lot of space on the side, and it is a pretty good ult you can use, for example, if you're trying to go for a fake. Just be aware there could be people hiding behind here on top of the logs area, and also sometimes if you don't place it right, behind here in this corner right here. And people hiding in these corners are really hard to clear out. Just be aware if your ult goes away, you have to clear out these corners again. If I had to give Astra a rating from S to F, I'd actually give her the A tier. In my opinion, Astra is probably the second to best smoker to play on this map. Omen is still a little bit better. He has recharging smokes and her flash is just in general pretty strong. But with an Astra you can play pretty well on this map, and you also have a lot of outplay potential, especially with an Astra ult, and also with the stun and the stock, and also recall stars can be pretty effective on an Astra. You don't really have a lot of the kind of instant power that you have on an Omen, but you have a lot of the kind of long-lasting power that you have on an Astra. For example, you can play stars all over the map, and you can even fake areas without even being in those areas. That would be it from me. If you want to see any other agent on any other map, write it down in the comments. And if you want to see anything else Vod related, write it down there as well. And as always, don't forget to like and sub, and come say hi to me on Twitch, where I stream almost daily. Have a great rest of your day, and see you guys very soon. Bye!